Welcome back to another episode of the RAG Report podcast, where I bring to you a daily bulletin show from owners, advisors, trainers, people from around the recruitment sector that are prepared to give their time and their thoughts, their ideas to help us all get through this difficult COVID-19 period. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Andrew Sillitoe. Andrew is a psychologist and a performance coach. He's the founder of the 4 Keys method and the host of the virtual Recruitment Summit, which is coming up in the next few months, which I'm delighted to be part of. I met Andrew a couple of years ago at a Recruitment Network event, and I've kept an eye on him ever since. He's always talking lots and lots of sense. He works with over 40 recruitment businesses at any one time. So this is someone who is supporting people right now through this. And we're lucky enough to have him to share some of his thoughts with the rest of us today. So Andrew, thanks so much for taking the time.
Sure, and thank you for having me. Been following this podcast for a while, so it's a pleasure to be on it now.
Well,
thanks for having me.
Not a problem, buddy, not a problem. I've given you an intro there, and in true RAG Report style, I like to just go in at, what the hell's going on for you right now? I can see you're based in France, right?
Prague.
Right, okay, Prague.
Czech Republic, yeah.
So I don't know why in my head you were in France, right? So you're in Prague. You've got a lot of books behind you, so I hope you're spending time reading. But paint the picture. Paint the picture. What's going on for you right now?
Well, it's been a shock to the system, hasn't it? I mean, I've been in business now since 2012 as a business. Well, and I started my business back in 2007. Technically, I had a spell at S3 as well, working there, and it's very different. I've experienced 2 recessions, if you want to call it that, downturns as a business owner, and you kind of prepare for it. In my line of work, you're the best investment in the world, and then you're a cost, and that's just the reality of some businesses. So you're constantly trying to provide value and show value. But as much as I prepared for this, it came much sooner than I expected. I don't think anyone was prepared for a virus like this to what essentially triggered a downturn in the economy, and which in some ways is always going to happen. But I just think the coronavirus has brought it forward. No,
completely agree. But your life and setup. So what have you got keeping you occupied right now?
Well, I think like most people, I'm at home, 2 young children. My oldest daughter lives in Melbourne, so she's quarantined out there. Trying to make this whole thing work with family, getting out when we can. We're in the Czech Republic. We've been locked down probably about 2 weeks ahead of the UK.
Really?
So things just shut down very quickly here. And I'm not sure why. I was talking about it today. I think a lot of the Czechs go skiing in Italy. And we were actually due to go to Italy. I was going to be working with an ice hockey team in Italy. And really just by chance, we stopped it. We just decided to push it further closer to the playoffs. And it was just lucky because otherwise we could have got stuck there. But I think one of the reasons why the Czech Republic got nervous, shut things down quickly, is because a lot of holidaymakers and skiers were coming back from Italy, which was really starting to have its challenges. And it coincided with the school holidays. So tons of Czechs in Italy. So we everything shut down. So I was playing ice hockey 3 times a week. I was, enjoying flying to and from the UK, and all of a sudden everything just stopped. All our leadership programs stopped, schools stopped, everything.
Are you allowed to leave the house in the Czech, or you?
We can go for a walk. We're not allowed to be in more than groups of 2. Yeah. So unless you're a family, and you have to wear a mask.
You have to wear a mask.
You're seen in larger groups. The police will come in and separate you.
Yeah, we got the same here, but there's no mandate on a mask. I don't think we've got enough masks in the country to be able to do that. I think get your scarf around your face or whatever.
No, I think someone's recording in on it actually, because my wife came back with a load the other day. But I think people are making them and giving away and doing kids ones with Marvel characters and stuff.
Oh yeah, I think you've got to make the most of it, haven't you? I spoke to a guy earlier in Hong Kong who's going to be on one of the episodes, and he said he's in client meetings pitching in Hong Kong, and they've got to wear masks. And like the whole meeting, the whole time, they're not once taking it off. Like you know, rooms of 10 around boards with masks on. I mean, it's crazy, but it's becoming the norm in a weird way.
Yeah. It's normal here for sure.
So before we go into what's going on for you now, I think it's important for those that don't know you to understand a really, really quick overview of your background, because you mentioned ice hockey. That's the background, right? Was it a player or coach or both?
Player, well. So the short version is that I grew up in Tunbridge Wells, southeast of England, And there weren't any ice rinks near me really. It was Gillingham and so on, but you didn't really think about playing ice hockey. So street hockey was my game, and I played that all the way through my teens.
I played a bit.
Evolved. I think everyone's had a pair of Bauer skates or went to.
Yeah, I was actually quite good at one point.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. So that I caught a wave of that. Ended up kind of pursuing it. Really, I left school, I went to Canada, so I moved out there to kind of pursue my dream of playing, and things just evolved from there. So I got into coaching. I was in my early 20s then, and then I started running hockey camps. So I set up my first coaching business, if you like. And actually sold that. I sold that business to a company that was doing big summer camps. And then decided to join Yellow Pages, really just by chance. I thought I'd be there for 6 months. I was working in the ski industry and doing stuff there as well, and working with startup brands, and it was great fun. But then this opportunity with Yellow Pages came along, and I kind of did the corporate thing for about 4.5 years. Everyone was horrified that I'd entered this world, because they just didn't associate that with me. But that kind of kickstarted my idea around coaching. What's that?
Sales or?
Yeah, it was sales. Yeah, so I was a field sales rep, and then went into becoming account manager, account executive, and then went into sales management. I managed the Southern regional team. So I had quite a rapid career there, and could have stayed there. But then an old school friend of mine from 20 years ago, and this was when Facebook was just emerging, I suppose, and my friend just Facebooked me and said, "What are you up to?" And I said, "Well, look, I'm kind of getting into this psychology thing. I'm working at Yellow Pages, but I like the idea of working with athletes, and I'm thinking about moving into that." Anyway, it turned out he was the COO at the time of a company, of like a boutique consultancy business, and they were sending people like me into like Vodafone, O2, Sky TV, all these sort of big companies, and just talk about mindset. And I was winging it at this point. But I gave a talk there, and they gave me a job off the back of it, and that's where my career changed. I went from kind of the operational roles in sales to being a performance coach, and then just trained as a performance coach, became certified. I did a master's in organizational psychology, became a business psychologist. I had 2.5 years at S3, working with the leadership teams there and directors. And it just evolved from there. And I suppose because of it, the time at S3, when I came out of S3, that's when I started working with recruitment companies.
Well, it makes sense, right? Makes sense. So, I mean, that makes perfect sense, right? And now I'm even more excited to have you on, because now I know the full story myself. What's going on right now? Like the conversations you're having. What's the consistent narrative, or what's the ups and downs and different things you're hearing from the 40 or so clients you're working with?
I think ups and downs is a good word. So if we think about the people that are in my sort of coaching circle, there's quite a level of optimism, actually, in a way. There's some nervousness. But the guys that I work with, they've experienced 2008. I know what it's like. And I think if there's one thing that's certain about what we're experiencing right now, is that it will pass. And those that have been there and been through this before know that. They understand that. They get that. And whether that means, in some cases, carrying some debt, or understanding what the impact of it is, they know that they'll come out the other side of it. As long as they stay strong mentally and even physically, particularly as we're quarantined at the moment, that it's even more important. So they're using the time, or at least through our conversations, and there are varying degrees of people I work with. So some might be a one-man band, some of them might be CEO of a large organization, some might be managing a team of 20, 60, and so on. So it's different scenarios. But for the most part, people that I'm working with, we're seeing it as an opportunity. We're seeing it as an opportunity to double down on audience building, which I know you're very passionate about. How do you build an audience? How do you create that inbound strategy, and start to see yourself as an authority in the industry? And I think if people focus on that and have a level of optimism around that, so that when the market does rebound, which it will, that they are ready to attack and be on the offense again.
So audience building is something that I think so important. I think it's crazy though. In a way, it's crazy that it takes something like this for people to actually take some of this stuff seriously. Because I don't know. I'm not seeing the huge opportunity for me right now in our business, because I think the world's caving in for so many people. But it is super important to get your ducks in a row. Have you got some like practical things you're telling people right now to do at the minute? Like, what's the kind of first step people can take to to take action, whether it is audience building or whatever? What sort of things are you telling them to do?
Well, there are a couple of things. I think one is a mindset shift, and one is the actions that you take. And what we're experiencing is that in theory, people get it, that they need to show up and get on the phone and talk to their clients, but be the coach, be the life coach in a way, be the empathetic, counsel in a way to talk them through it, and not be I talk about being an authority, but not being an authority in recruitment, but being an authority in their niche and being ahead of the game and truly understanding what's going on in the market and having conversations around that. That's the first thing. So once they get head around the fact that, but I need to do a deal, and they can move away from that, or my team needs to do a deal and I don't want them just having these conversations because I'm feeling a bit desperate. It's quite hard to let go of that, to not make the desperate play, to not say, well, this is what's in the contract, so you have to pay the bill, or, those kind of conversations, but actually to put yourself in the shoes of the client and do things that the client will thank you for in 6 months. So one of the things we talk about a lot is it doesn't matter what you do or what you say, it really matters how you make your clients feel right now and your candidates. And because that's what they'll remember the most. So there's an opportunity right now to go all in on that. So that's the first thing we're looking at. The second thing then is, how do we have an online presence? How do we show up online and talk to that niche and talk to that pain point? Because that's where you start to position yourself as an authority. The challenge then is that someone that has been working, say a business owner I've been working with for 20 years, they've been working as a recruitment business owner for 20 years, is not as comfortable as jumping online and talking into a camera. So that's the mindset shift. And so therefore my view is that anyone that is able to overcome that fear, put their ego to one side, get online and talk directly to their persona, avatar, whatever you want to call it, directly to their client, is going to have a competitive advantage over the next 6 to 9 months.
100%. And there's still so many people out there that aren't comfortable with it and they've ignored it. And I think that we're going to see a shift in the industry, and we're going to see a lot of people, like basically what you've just said, but a lot of people that were so used to building businesses, building people, building process, that are unfortunately going to now be sucked back into startup mode or scale up mode, and they're going to have to get back on the tools. Like every single person, if you do make the decision to furlough certain people, and I know a client that's gone from 33 to 7 people overnight, right? Mm-hmm. And that means that the owner he's having to go back in. He can't just sit there and manage 7 people all day. He's got to get his hands dirty, and actually it's his brand. So the clients are going to want to hear from him. They're going to want to like that. Do you know what I mean? So we're going to see a lot of people almost retreating in their roles and going back to stuff, and also in now in a market, in a landscape that wasn't the same as when they were doing it before. Because we both know how much LinkedIn's changed in the last couple of years. Like I remember in recruitment in 2016, my last year, full year in recruitment, I'd never heard the 2 words personal brand together ever. Like I'd never seen, there was no video on there. You couldn't do it. Like my idea I thought was so revolutionary. And then 6 months later, everyone's doing these things. So
yeah, it's definitely evolved.
Crazy. It's crazy.
So massively evolved. Yeah.
How do you get people into the mindset to put their ego aside and do it? Is there any techniques they can adopt or things they can think about? Yeah,
I think right now, there's no better opportunity because everyone's got the same pain point, right? So everyone literally galvanized. I mean, to the point where it's becoming a bit too noisy on the internet. So being able to cut through that is a bit of a challenge. But once people recognize that they can literally talk about their own feelings, but not talk about their own feelings, but just make an assumption that the person they're talking to is feeling that way. So you can talk directly to the camera as if you're talking to that person and say, I expect you're feeling this way, and I expect you're feeling concerned, scared, what's going on. Well, here are some things I think you could think about to overcome that. So it's not just a scaremongering, whining, moan. This is probably how you're feeling. Here are 3 things that might help you. And I think if people recognize that they can add value and there's a purpose behind it, then why wouldn't you jump on and help these people out? That's my view on it, is that it as woolly and as woo-woo and fluffy as it sounds, once you really connect with the purpose, the why, which is to serve others, When I ask people, what was your purpose? I say, well, my purpose right now is to make sure my business survives and I can pay my bills. Well, no, that's not a purpose. That's to serve you. Why do you want to keep the business going? Well, I've got a group of people that I care about, that I need them to keep enrolled, or I care about my clients and I want their business to survive. Now you're talking to me, because that's purpose. That's serving others. And then you can serve yourself through serving others. So if people can let go of the ego, put it to one side, and be all in on looking out and coaching and counseling and empathizing, and then giving solutions, then it's just about putting your ego to one side and putting yourself on camera, pressing record and letting rip, Yeah. And by the way, this is, for me, people go, are you on live every day? And I'm like, yeah, this has taken me years of putting my ego to one side and just getting on it. If you said to me, Sean, look, one of my speakers has not turned up and there's 5,000 people out there, can you go and give a keynote? I'm like, yeah, no problem. Put me in front of the camera. And as soon as I see that red light going off, I'm like,
really?
I just freeze. So it's taken me a long time to get comfortable with that.
If I go back to my early videos in 2017, they were shit. Like, they were awful. And I remember sitting there in a Regis business lounge with my iPhone on a stand, and people in the background like, what is this guy doing? Just kept repeating the same things. And, it came across scripted because I wrote it all down, and my eyes were dropping down to the page to see what I was saying. And it was only when I realized, get some themes and then just go for it, that I came across better. But it's like anything, right? Practice makes perfect. And there's no better time than now. Like,
no better time.
I've been rolling out.
It's just on a plate right now.
Yeah, it's just like, go for it. Speak to your clients, speak to your customers, be the connector. What do you think about the people that have been put on furlough? Like, so you've got all these people that are staying in the organization. We've got, their job is to sales and marketing, work your absolute nuts off and be visible. What do you do if you're a good quality member of staff that's been put on furlough? How do you cope with that? And what advice have you got for those, if they're listening, or if an owner's listening and he wants to share it? How do they keep their mindset in a position? Because they're going to be called back in. They're going to be back in the game soon. Put it back into sport. What are they going to be like?
Yeah. I think the first thing is, if you've been put on furlough, you're an A player, right? Because you're still on the team.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like that. So it's probably make me feel angry. You might think, why me? I want to be still involved. I'm not going to earn as much money. But the fact is, you're still recognized for your talent, and you're still on the team. You still got a role to play. So that's the first thing. And you're gonna and so for me, it's about always being ready. It's like a professional athlete who is good enough to play on the team, but was for whatever reason didn't make the cut for a particular game or a particular competition. That their opportunity always comes up, and you have to be ready.
Mm.
You've only got to look at Andy Ruiz or what's his name, Ronaldo. Was just seen playing in a social game. But he was always ready. He was always putting on his best performance. Andy Ruiz, what a chance, and then became world champion. Because he was just ready to go. And so my view is, those that have been furloughed, keep doing the work, keep learning, keep practicing your craft. Stay strong physically, mentally, do all the right things, just bury yourself in learning and development. And then the most important thing is the leader, who is essentially the coach, who is going to rely on that player, because, and I'm using the sports analogies here, so I might get carried away, but you get an injury and then you're calling up that player and saying, hey, we need you now. If you haven't got a relationship with that person, you haven't maintained a relationship over that 3-month period, you're probably not going to get respect and the credibility. So leadership, whilst they might not be able to show up and do work for your business, you still have a role as a leader to stay in touch with them, to mentor them, to coach them. And when it's remote, probably has to be on steroids.
Yeah. Would you include them in things like, weekly wrap-ups or monthly reviews, as in like monthly business reviews? Would you get them back into the video and keep them updated as to how the business is performing? Or would you, because it just feels it's a bit of a weird, unknown, like, zone we're sending.
Personally, I would.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah. I don't know. some of the legalities around it, and what their contribution is to the business and all that kind of stuff. I think as long as they're not seeing clients and going out and doing work, so don't hold me on that. But they're still on the team, if they're on the team, they're on the team.
Surely if someone's just like, listening to what's going on in the business on a weekly or monthly basis and chipping in their thoughts, and just, it's the only way you're going to keep that dynamic somewhat close. If you say we'll see you later in 3 months, you're back, I don't know. Personally, that just feels a bit strange.
Yeah, and that's where there will be a disconnect, and they'll start looking at different things. So if you need this person back in your team, keep them in the team, keep them adding value, keep them in the loop. That for me would be absolute.
Yeah. What have you heard is there anything specific you've heard that's come up from a client that you think's just like you haven't got the answer for? Is there anything you've been asked, or anything you've heard and you're like, I don't actually know how to help?
I'll be honest with you that from my perspective, I know there are lots of people that are running programs on how to recruit during this challenging time. But if clients have turned the tap off and they're not recruiting, and the people are saying, but I need to do deals, I don't have the answer for that. I really don't, because the only thing you can do is keep adding value to those clients. You can look at different opportunities. So for a couple of people in my group, for example, they've pivoted very quickly into coaching and being supportive and really position themselves as an authority. It's something we talk about a lot in our inner circle, is how quickly can you position yourself as an authority and add value in different ways. And then there might be an opportunity to commercialize that proposition once you've added value. So once you've done it for a couple of clients, you go, actually, this is really adding value. Could you give me a testimonial on that? I'm going to go and pitch it over here, because it doesn't feel seedy now for me to pitch this. It is adding value.
Yeah.
So the only thing we can do in scenarios like this is think about what could really add value to the client, like massive value, but is low value to the business owner or the business. So it doesn't cost them much. So a good example in my world is an online program. Once I've created that online program, I've created it. It's evergreen. So, and it's worth £1,000. So all the training in the app, for example, of course I'm going to give my best content away. I've made it, I've built it, it's there, so have it. And that could change someone's direction, their business, what they're doing. So it could add massive value to them. But it's not going to cost me. It's not going to cost me a lot. So we have to think about things like that. What are low cost to you, but could be high value to the client? And there's loads of things around us that we can look at to do that.
That's a great point. Low cost, high value. Yeah, it's just we can't incur none of us can incur costs right now to win business. We can't incur much cost. So tell me more about your portal and what you're offering then. Like, what's in there and how do people get access?
Yeah. So I don't know if you know, but I wrote this book called The 4 Keys back in 2019. And off the back of that, we created this curriculum, which is really to help. It was aimed at business owners who were trying to manage the different facets of their life. So the 4 keys being the business, body, relationships, and mindsets. So we talk about business and sales strategy, marketing strategy, leadership. So the real kind of stuff you'd expect to see in a business program, but combined with balancing that with the health, the relationships at home, and the mindset. So what we do is we put a program together which just encourages us to think about these things on a daily basis so we can win daily in our business, body, relationships, and mindset. So what are the things we do in our business, our body, relationships, mindset, and then
it's hard I'm trying to put myself in that position now, and having all of them at once is like, it's difficult to concentrate on them all, isn't it? Like
it is. Once you compartmentalize them, and then you see it as a system, you recognize that they're all related. If the relationships, particularly now, if the relationship gets tough at home and you're working at home because we're neglecting stuff over here, we're so lost in the business, then other stuff starts to deteriorate. If we're not looking after our body, then we've just paid a price. And what I keep saying to people is just double down on your business, double down on your body, your relationships, your mindset, and the business will take care of itself. And you'll be fit for purpose when this market returns.
Yeah. Well,
it's all in the app.
I've definitely seen, like, my wife is a personal trainer, and we were probably ships in the night for the last few months. Like, she would get up at 4:30, go to the gym at 6, come back at 11. I was at work. She'd leave again at 4. By the time I'm home, she's getting in at 9:30, 10. Whereas now we've had a dog since end of October, and she'd be the first to say she had no relationship with him because I was taking him to work, I was taking him out, I was doing everything. And even at the weekend, she's like, it's not the same when you're seeing it once a week,
Right.
twice a week.
Yeah.
So now she's with him right now, and we're spending breakfast, lunch, evenings. We're going for walks. There's things we're doing which we haven't done for a couple of years, which is nice. And how we adopt that in the future is key. Also, fitness-wise, I've mentioned briefly before we started, but I started this thing this week called 75 Hard by a guy called Andy.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, so it's effectively a mental toughness challenge, which costs nothing. It's completely free, and there's going to be some great physical byproducts, hopefully, as well. So what it is for 75 days, I've got to follow 5 things a day. So I've got to eat to a diet, which means whatever macro-based type diet you want to eat, which doesn't involve junk food, cheat meals, or alcohol. So I can't have any of that. I can't go and have like a chocolate bar or anything. 2 days in and I'm flying. It's a piece of piss. I'll be a nightmare this weekend. That is definitely the hardest one for me. I've got to train twice a day. So both 45 minutes, one has to be outside. So my routine is I wake up at 5:45, 6 o'clock till 6:45. I'm training either yoga in the living room, HIIT sessions, or I'm going for a run. I'm getting like the hard one out
Get
of the
the
way.
body moving.
Get it done. And then either lunchtime or the end of the day, I'm taking the dog for a walk for 45 minutes. And that's my outside one that I rain or shine, I've got to do it anyway. So actually, the other one can be in the house. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you move for 45 minutes twice a day, and one's outside. You've got to drink a gallon of water. So if you're watching on YouTube, and if not, you can. I'm holding a half-gallon bottle right now. This is my second of the day, and I'm
some bicep curls with that as well.
Oh mate, yeah, getting some guns on the show. But drink a gallon of water. I've got to read 10 pages of a business or non-fiction self-improvement book. Which that's probably going to be the hardest for me because I'm an audio guy. Like I'm a podcast listener. I'm not a crap reader, so I've really got to work. 10 pages will take me half an hour probably. And then you've got to take a progress pick a day, which feels a bit weird to just stand up in the morning and snap yourself. But I guess it's the best way to see the development. So I'm 2 days in, Andy, and you might be laughing at me in a few weeks, but my gut feeling is there's never been a better time. Like I haven't got a single event in the diary that can stop me doing it. I think my business is so like critical that my mind needs to be absolutely on point. So waking up early, drinking a gallon of water, reading books, being on it, like I have got no choice. Like the day I wake up hungover now, I'm an idiot. Like I'm a complete idiot. So I'm super excited and pumped. I maybe a bit too early in the journey, and I might not be the same.
Right, you've still got 73 days to go yet.
Exactly, yeah. 73. But that is like mid-June, it'll be done. So I'm hoping that it coincides with the end of this lockdown at least, and I'm out and about at the end. But
I like that. I think that's not too dissimilar to the 4 keys approach. We talk about 30-day plans, 60-day plans, 90-day plans. I'm not prescriptive about diet. I'm a big fan of a high fat, low carb, moderate protein diet. That's kind of just my thing, or somewhere between paleo, ancestral eating. I've noticed some huge benefits from that, which is essentially just eliminating seed oils and sugar and
processed stuff,
and moderating. But I found it hard. I talk about these things, and I'm passionate about health and well-being. My whole purpose, is really based off the fact, my dad died at 48 of a heart attack through stress, came out of a recession. So this, me showing up live every day to talk about this stuff is easy for me because I've got that purpose that I talked about earlier, So I'm kind of talking, to that person that, my father really, for half the time. So I'm passionate about, but even I find it hard. I've noticed that my sleep patterns have, that little extra episode on Netflix I've started to do where I'm trying to zone out. Even a bit of red wine's been creeping in. I'm not a big drinker, but a bit of red. My wife said, "Where's the?" I was like, "I think that was me. I think I'm like drunk." So I talk about, so even I'm not invincible around these things, and I'm able to check in with that.
You're aware.
I'm aware of it, and that's why I say to people, just be mindful of these things that could creep in during a period of time like this, and because if it's not going to be a pandemic like we're experiencing, we could have a mental health epidemic, which is kind of on the cusp, with all these things. So people have to really take care of themselves and do the stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, I deleted Instagram on New Year's Eve. So I was quite a big Instagram user. That was when I started Hoxo, was probably the main reason, because I was spending my life on Instagram and I was watching Gary Vee and Stephen Bartlett and all these people. And I found that in the last few months, I don't know, I wasn't getting any value from it. I don't know if I was following the wrong people or what, but it got to Christmas and it was like, I was watching other people live their life more than enjoying my own.
Living your own.
Yeah. And I was like,
it's easy done.
It was New Year's Eve and you saw everyone's best 9 photos. And I was like, do you know what? I fucking don't care. I'll be honest. I don't care. Like, what was my best 9? And what am I doing? I'm with my family. I'm with my dog. Let's just enjoy it. So I deleted it and I haven't looked back. Like I go in via the desktop or the phone app, not the app, but the kind of sign in bit. About once a week, just check if I've had anything, message a few people.
Yeah.
But do you know what? From a mental clarity perspective, brilliant. Like
a bit of social detoxing.
Yeah. And I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, but you can't do them all. Like you can't be on LinkedIn, then Instagram, then Facebook. I think mentally it's
crazy.
So much stimulus for your brain. Yeah, it's not good. So people get access to this. In this platform. You've got what's inside that people can get access to.
So at the moment we've got the 90-day challenge. So you can do the challenge, work through all the videos, and there's some daily support as well. Wow. I've got a program. I shot some videos for setting a vision, so it would be useful for anyone that's trying to align their team at the moment. There's the team head coach, the leadership stuff is in there, all the content for that. We've got a podcast in there. So my interview with like Seth Godin and Trevor Turnbull and Rob Balasabas. And I've just posted an audio in there. I call it Future-Proofing Your Business. And it's aimed specifically at recruitment business owners. It's about 30 minutes long. And I know that I've had a few people come back to me and said they've seen some value in that. So that's in there. We've got the community. So there's people talking in there and sharing what they're doing in their 90-day challenge. So it's just a nice place to be and for a bit of support whilst we work through this process. And as I said, I made it all free until we come out the other side of this. Probably for the rest of the year, I'll keep it free.
Wow. Is it just for leaders and owners, or would a consultant who's
I would say consultants, loads of consultants in there.
Yeah.
That use it, particularly the 90-day reset, and setting their targets. So that would be going back to the furlough, people that have perhaps been furloughed and want to have a 90-day reset. That would be an ideal for them.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, it was aimed initially at business owners, but I found it's just sort of broadened itself out over time.
Well, Andrew, I mean, that's amazing. Thank you for doing that. And we'll make sure that obviously we're sharing that as part of this episode. And I implore people to get onto that. I'll have a look myself.
Get involved.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. I don't know if I can do 75 and
90 and 75.
Yeah. Well, the point is, it's about following something, feeling confident and passionate about it, and being excited about it. Right? It's about being, especially at a time where if you turn the news on, it's all doom and gloom. Like it's all fucking doom and gloom. Like I've realised I can't watch more than 10
I don't watch the news apart from just the economics and trying to just understand what's happening with the legalities and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Give yourself an update. Give yourself an update and then turn it off because it is just not. It's not good for the brain. So you've got to get excited in a time like this.
Yeah.
What I guess what tell me about the Recruitment Summit as well. Like you've invited me to be on it, which I can't wait. Tell us when it is, what it's all about, why people should be considering it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a great event. So it's a virtual recruitment summit. It's June 12th. So anybody that registered will have access to the content. We've got about 30 speakers that will be speaking throughout the day. So obviously yourself in the marketing piece. We've got NEDs and CEOs, present and past, who will be talking about the market. Obviously, we don't really know at this stage what the topics are going to be. So we'll be talking about scaling, we'll be talking about growth strategy, we'll talk about sustainability, all those sort of things. So, or sustaining your business, should I say. We've got some really good speakers coming in around recruitment training. So literally for recruitment 101 up to leadership development and some brilliant tech speakers, people that can be talking about the future of recruitment and what business owners need to be thinking about from a tech perspective, but people that are slightly on the fringe of recruitment as well. So it's going to be a big event. It's a global event, and we're going to have people from all over. So I know that CEOs like Russell Clements are going to be speaking. We've got Greg Savage speaking, James Osborne, yourself. Just some brilliant speakers coming on board.
Sounds awesome.
Natasha Clark. It'd be great. It'd be really good.
And anyone can sign up for that? Anybody
can sign up. It's going to be a free event.
Yeah.
I'm in that face-to-face world where it's classroom-based training. All my conference speaking has been cancelled this year, obviously. So I just thought, right, well, let's have a look at this world of virtual summits. And there's some brilliant software out there to do these things. So if anyone's thinking about doing it, you know, I appreciate some of you just getting your head around Zoom, but there's some really good packages out there to put on what is essentially a conference online.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be doing.
I've been asking this question a lot, but how do you think recruiters will adapt to this in, let's say, 6 months' time, when hopefully things are more stable in our world? What will change from the model of how we operate compared to what life was like 2 weeks ago?
Well, I think it's a little hard to predict how people are going to respond, but my view is that once people realize that you can be sociable online and not just observe, like you were saying, observing people's life on Instagram, but actually interacting in the same way we are, that you're going to start asking that question: why would I get on the train and travel 2 hours just to have that eyeball to eyeball? And don't get me wrong, I still like coaching face to face, but 90% of my coaching is on Zoom. And I think the technology's improved. You know, when I was coaching 12 years ago online, it was Skype, and you're talking to the top of someone's head. People didn't really know what they were doing. There were all sorts of problems. Now, I mean, we're having a proper conversation, and I just think business owners are going to start saying, well, yeah, we could fly you over to New York and you could have a meeting with them, or you can just have a Zoom. And I see that changing. And then I also see, why would I drive an hour or commute to London every day, or to Manchester, or to wherever you're based, when I can work from home? And so as long as people stay conscientious and they do the work, then my expectation is that the business landscape is going to be very different. And this has been the shot. I mean, it's been a boiling frog scenario, particularly for recruitment, because we've been talking about the things that still work. And I've been one of those people. I say, you know, the people with the highest phone bills and the most meetings make the most money. I don't think that's going to change. It's the way we have meetings. You know, you still have calls. You're still
use your mobile. I'm totally with you on that. I think I've said it on most episodes. I think see the industries. I think the biggest businesses are going to struggle are the offices. They're the ones that everyone's going to want to be downsizing and, you know, shedding size and cost. And there'll be a big question of how we maximize our spaces. So, for example, when I was a recruiter, I worked with two big insurers, Aon and a company called MS Hamlin, to move into the London, the walkie-talkie, or no, the cheese grater, One Leadenhall, or whatever it's called. And the big thing was they were moving from Devonshire Square, where they could afford to have all of their staff in London, and then they were moving to this space where this per square meter was like 10 times more. So they did this workplace transformation project where they basically said 300 people, only 150 people can be in any one time. So I recruited a project team that went in and worked out how they were going to do it, what ergonomically, like what was it going to look like, feel like, and how were they going to like basically have a rota of people in the office. And I kind of think there's going to be a big need for stuff like that, because you're going to want to grow, but do you have to grow by desk? Do you grow by...
Yeah, it's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know the answers. I've been working on a 50% remote model anyway. So my business is we were thinking this way. It's kind of made me go more towards remote than it. I think we need to have some physical space, but I'm excited to see it. I'm excited. I mean, obviously there's so much shit to get through first, but I'm super excited to see how these businesses evolve. And one thing I'm confident about with our sector is that we'll make it work.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, you know, something I talk about a lot is recruitment is a unique industry, and it's got some just amazing people in it. You know, it attracts great people who are prepared to put themselves out there to work hard, be rewarded well, and incredibly resourceful. So it's human nature. You know, it's interesting how recruitment works, that because of the resourcefulness that's in it, they always find a way. The industry will always find a way to navigate and change and adapt. And there's always going to be that need. But this has been the shock, perhaps, that the recruitment industry needed, and a learning curve. So people have had to learn very quickly. So I talking to you and talking to some other people that are online, when people were saying to me, can you just talk me through what Zoom is? You know, that part of me was going, hang on a minute, how do you not know what Zoom is? I've been using Zoom for 3 years. And then I sounded really arrogant, because I was thinking, but this is a new world for a lot of people, and empathizing with that and helping people kind of work through that. And that's the opportunity we've got as recruitment consultants and leaders, is that other people are trying to navigate it as well. So get out there, and help the people transition. Now, see this as a transition, not a crash, and be the coach, the consultant, the management consultant for your clients who can help them transition into this new world if they haven't been prepared for it. That's where you can add value right now. It might not pay the bills, it might not, but it will. I'm almost certain it will convert to deals further down the road.
No, I agree. Well, Andrew, that's all we've got time for, mate. Thank you so much. It's been a
pleasure.
I've loved it. I've really enjoyed it. I can't wait to be part of your summit as well. Anyone who wants to be a part of that or who wants to have access to your app, I'll make sure is tagged in this. But if people want to just reach out to you and ask some questions, are you free for that? Are you open to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Just hit me up on LinkedIn. That's probably the best place to start. The website, if you're interested in just learning more, the website is andrewsillitoe.com. But contact me on LinkedIn, have a chat. That's where it always starts. It always starts with a chat.
Wicked. Well, look, thanks, mate. We'll keep you posted on that, and I'll be watching out for what you're up to as well. Guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of the RAG Report. On this episode, on this show, that we're not asking for any money. We're asking for one thing, is that you share it with somebody else. So your fee to listen is to get this episode sent out via WhatsApp, text, email, pigeon if needed, to your friends, your colleagues, your competitors, anyone you know in the space. Because together, as an industry, if we're together, we're stronger, especially in times like this. If you're listening to this on the Apple Store as well, give us your ratings, put your comments in, because the big boys at Apple push us up once we get more of those. I will be back again tomorrow with another story, some more insights for you to take and use right now in your recruitment agencies. Until then, stay safe. I'll see you soon.